Hello, welcome back to the Live Reality Game Podcast. My name is Stephen, and I'm here today to talk about an upcoming live reality game having its second season this week, Who is the Mole live game. And with me to talk about it and maybe give some hints and teases as to what's to come, I have several of the production members from Who is the Mole live game. Why don't we start by having you all go around and introduce yourselves, starting with Jamie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie. I mean, that should be pretty apparent. Thank you, Stephen. I am one of the two main hosts of Who is the Mole, the live game, and I'm super excited to be here. Should I start with like my role in the game? Do you want me to
Yes.
do that at this point? So I am like the one of the two main hosts. Who is the Mole is like my main sort of brainchild, you could say.
Mhm.
This is a major passion project of mine. It really came out of hosting the online version of the game, which me and my co-host Spencer have hosted for 6 seasons online. I think we started that in 2018, I think it was, somewhere around there. Feels like forever ago. That's kind of wild to me. But yeah, I'm a super Mole fan. Love it. Have loved it for pretty much since it came out when I was a wee child. So yeah, just very passionate about it, and I will be front and center doing a lot of the main hosting duties during the game itself.
Um, Speaking of this originally as an online game, before transitioning to a live game, we have Tyler C., who was one of your players of your first season ever, I believe, right?
Yes, and Jamie regrets it ever since. But
You
yeah,
have
so
no idea.
my name is Tyler Carroll. I was on production last season. I'm back again this season. Very excited. As Steven said, yes, I played Jamie's first online game season. I was the winner. Not to not to brag too much. Jamie regrets it every day of their life. But yes, and then I got to my relation to the game, of course, knowing Jamie, and then Spencer, if people don't know, is my younger brother, the other co-host. So after I won season one, I became very, very close with Jamie, and that's how I got invited to be on production for the first season. And we had so much fun last year that pretty much a week or two after the first game ended, and Jamie asked all the production members, "Do you want to come back for season two?" We were all like, "Yes!" I'm excited. So it's really cool that it's 2 days away.
And then making the transition from player to production, we have Tyler Brown. Tyler, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me. Thanks for letting me be here. So yeah, I'm Tyler Brown, the other Tyler on production, the new Tyler on production.
Yes.
I was a player in season one of Who's the Mole, the live game. Ended up winning, which very happy, very proud of that. And I had so much fun playing that for approximately, I would say 3 to 4 weeks after the game was over, I harassed Jamie and Spencer to let me on the production staff because I wanted to be involved again so badly. That was my very first live game ever. I played some online games a few years back, but that was my first live game. I had an absolute blast doing it, and I'm thrilled to be part of production. It's much more relaxing in a different sense to be on this side, and 2 days away, not have to worry.
Oh, just wait. Just wait.
It's a different kind of stress being on this side of things, but I'm super, super stoked to be part of the production team, and I cannot wait to see how it all plays out in just a couple days.
Now, Jamie, for the listeners who may are not familiar with what The Mole is or the TV show, what is the basic outline of the game?
So The Mole is, Who is the Mole is based on the TV show The Mole. And I don't know that a lot of people know that The Mole originally was a Belgian show. So it actually did not start in the US. It started in Belgium. And it's still actually made in Belgium. So it's a hidden saboteur style game where it is a group of players who compete together to earn money for a pot. So they'll compete in a number of assignments. It can be any sort of task that you can imagine. It could be physical tasks, mental tasks, usually some kind of a combination. Usually it can be some kind of wacky component to them, but they're competing together for a group pot that in the end only one person will win. Now, among them, one person was hired by production to insidiously sabotage their efforts. That person is the mole. And every round, the group will do a couple of tasks, and then each player will independently take a quiz about the identity and actions of the mole. So it could be questions like, in this task, was the mole on team A or team B? It could be, how much money did the mole earn during this task? It could be, what gender is the mole? It could be, what year was the mole born? So it could be stuff related to the task or stuff related to the mole's identity. And each round, the player who scores the lowest on that quiz is eliminated. And in the end, it'll come down to just a couple of players and the mole, and whoever scores the highest on the final quiz wins the game. Is that a good overview, do we think?
Very good.
I'd say so.
Now, your game is kicking off this Thursday, August 3rd, correct?
Absolutely.
And how many days does it go for?
So it'll start on, all the players arrive on Thursday the 3rd, and the game really ends on Sunday, but everyone will leave Monday morning.
And can you say how many players will be on this cast?
We say season 1 had 13.
Okay. So anywhere from 1 to 20, maybe.
I would expect at least somewhere close to 13.
Okay. And
well, we don't, what it is we don't do a cast reveal until all the players arrive, so they don't know who is in the cast yet.
Now, I believe last year did you do any live streaming or recording of the season?
We did some live streaming, not that much. We mostly just live streamed the executions, which our lovely other production member, Stacy, handled. A lot of people probably know Stacy Brook, but she did all those live streamings last year. We're hoping this year to expand it a little bit more. That's kind of one of our bigger goals this year, is to expand the audience, what they're seeing outside the game. We're always player focused, and I think after last season we got that down pretty good. So we're hoping to maintain that, and then add, especially with Tyler being on production now with an extra production member to help send information to Shannon, who's going to be online and posting to our Facebook page and everything, and hopefully doing a little bit more live streaming of maybe some of the assignments that that we think it's appropriate for. There might be some where it's a little too involved or too difficult for us to keep our attention on the contestants and also live stream assignments, but we're going to try and at least expand upon it this year.
Yeah. So we do want to expand on it. We will definitely continue to live stream every single execution. I am thinking of doing a live stream of like the rules of a lot of the assignments, so that people, like, if you are maybe interested in this game, you can kind of get a feel for like what the assignments are like. That might be, I think, interesting for people to see kind of the experience of the players. And just some content from the assignments itself. Something that I'm also toying with that I think could be fun is each night, like when the assignments are all over, I might go live and sort of give a recap of the main events of the day, like what the assignments were and just like what the players earned throughout it. I think that could be a good way to, recap it for the viewers. So
Survival Challenge has been doing that this year and last year, and I think one other Survivor game was doing like these like end of night or early morning recaps, and that would be really cool for the audience to have, just because people who are following along to see their loved ones are only seeing little bits and pieces of the game themselves. So if people are interested in following, they can find it on the Facebook page.
Yep. So it's just Who is the Mole, the live game. The Facebook page. It's open. Definitely suggest joining.
Yeah, and the Facebook page is also linked in the notes for the podcast or video, so you can find it there. The follow along the game starting you're going to be live streaming starting Thursday or Friday, you think?
We'll do some live stream on Thursday. We will also announce the cast Thursday night. So we're gonna do like cast photos Thursday night when people arrive. That is our first. We asked the cast to bring like nice fancy dress up clothes. Their colors are green, gold, and black. So we'll see what people came up with for that. So we'll take nice cast photos there at our venue and post those.
Now, this is the second season of Who is the Mole live game. I'm curious from each of you what your favorite moments or highlights from the first season was. Tyler Brown, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. So a couple things that stick out to me. One, and this was something that both Jamie and Tyler kind of touched on earlier, is it was incredibly player centric. So I never once felt out of place. They made sure that I was comfortable with everything. I was kind of the newbie in everything. So I felt very well taken care of. And, I didn't really know much about live reality gaming. So I didn't know what to expect coming in, but I was very happy with how the production treated everybody. We all felt welcomed. I walked away with all kinds of new friends. We still have our same group chat going as we did from when the game was over, which at this point was now over a year ago. So it's really cool to make and build those friendships. It can be kind of hard as an adult sometimes to make friends. So finding people who have the same interests as you, no matter how quirky they are, it's really cool to be able to expand your circle a little bit. And the people are the best part. It was fun getting to know everybody. So I cherish and treasure the friendships that I made. Even though I'm on the production side this time, I'm hopeful that I still walk away with, I'll say, at least 5 new friends. If I can get 5 people to like me from the cast, then I'll be happy.
I don't think that'll be hard.
I'm impressed that winning was not your favorite moment either.
Truthfully, I didn't really care about winning. I went in, I set the bar very low for myself. I told myself, just make little tiny steps. Don't be the first one eliminated, and then survive the first full day, and then survive the second full day, and then make it to the end. So I had these little check marks that I was reaching towards. And I think that kind of helped me along the way. Instead of just constantly focusing on making it to the end and winning, I was getting there one step at a time. I did get to share a really cool moment with the cast when it was all over. So when the game was over, we got our cell phones back. I called my parents. My mom and dad are my 2 biggest fans in the entire world. My dad was like, "What is the mole?" And so he binge watched the season so he could kind of understand what was going on whenever I finished this. So I had a really cool moment where I called my parents, put them on speakerphone, and told them that I'd won. And they started screaming and cheering. And then everybody around thought it was really cool. So that was a nice moment I got to share with the cast last year.
Jamie, we have a question from Dustin. Is there any way that you yourself can be the mole in your game?
Steven, you of all people should know that I function much better as a sidekick to a mole than as a mole itself.
And so, Jamie, what were your favorite highlights or memories from season 1 last year?
I'd say on a macro scale, for me, I really love that I was able to create a very immersive experience for my players. Tyler used my lingo a minute ago, but this is something that we talk about a lot in our production chats, in our production meetings. Our team is very player centric. So I always prioritize making sure whether you're the very first person out of the game, no matter how far you make it, whether you're the winner, that you have a full, well-rounded experience in the game. And, after the season was over, we did player feedback surveys, and we got literally like 100% approval rating from the season, and like that means the world to me as a host. So on a macro scale, there's that. On a micro scale, I would say just seeing some of like these small individual sabotages that our mole Missy did just to screw the group over was hilarious, because like holding that secret that it was her the entire time, like I had to hold everything in, and it was just like amazing to see, because she absolutely crushed it.
I still remember the cookie sabotage.
Oh, the cookie date is like that is probably my favorite individual moment of the season.
I still have no idea how I missed that. I was beside of her for that entire task.
So funny.
Yeah, nothing beats that. So yeah, I would say the cookie assignment. So yeah.
I did love that.
Tyler C, any favorite moments that you had?
Oh, well, I guess, echoing Jamie on a big scale, I did like that, like Jamie said, everyone had a really fun time, and that was really nice. We all left, I think, in good spirits after the game, which is always a nice feeling, because you're always afraid people are going to well, I spent money to go to that, and that sucked, but did not happen. Mm-hmm. Big relief. Since, I had no idea what we were getting into when we did this. Small moments, I always, I don't know why, but there's two that I always, assignments I always remember when I tell people about it. I really liked the domino assignment that we did, where we had them stacking up a bunch of different domino colors, and they had to get all of them up there, and then Jamie had to knock them over.
1,000 of them.
Yes, there were 1,000 dominoes, and Jamie's outside meanwhile running a side assignment with Lex and Kirk, since this is our third round, so we had 2 people eliminated, so they were helping us out with that. And I very much enjoyed watching them look into the window every now and then and just slyly wave at everyone while they're building 1,000 dominoes. And then me and Spencer on the stairs, playing stupid music, let's torture the players whilst they build these dominoes. That sounds fun. I think it was Missy when Spencer started playing the Hokey Pokey or something like that.
I'm pretty sure Tiny Bubbles made an appearance at one point too.
Yeah.
Can I share another anecdotal favorite moment? It's more just a favorite fact or memory. Is that okay?
Yeah,
go for it.
So the way that we do the quizzes in the game is to speed it up, we do it, and we'll continue this for this season. We randomly do half the cast will do the quizzes with Spencer, half the cast will do the quizzes with me, in 2 different locations. I mean, we do it just like the show, we have the dramatic, the mole quiz music playing. But fun fact from season 1, out of the 10 executions that happened in the season, on the round that they were executed, 9 out of 10 people who were executed in the round that they were executed took their quizzes with Spencer in that round.
Watch out, new players.
So now it is the kiss of death.
Yes. So if you want to stay in the game, no, it's just really funny.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's always a funny fact.
Tyler, who'd you take your quizzes with?
I actually think I took my first couple of quizzes with Jamie, and then I think almost the rest of them were with Spencer. So I remember that I took I avoided it. I remember taking my final quiz with Spencer, because after the final quiz was over and I hit submit, I just had this wave of emotion come over me, and Spencer just took one look at me and was like, "Sit here for as long as you need to. You're okay."
So it sounds like one of the successes of the last season was it being very player centric and players really walking with a positive experience. We already mentioned one of the goals for this coming season was to focus a little bit more on the live streaming to bring more to the audience. Were there any other changes you're looking to add or incorporate for the second season that you're at the liberty to talk about?
I think we can talk about interviewing the players, right?
Sure.
Do you want to do that? You want me to do that? You want Tyler Brown to do it?
Go ahead.
Okay. One of the big hurdles I think last season was us trying to figure out, because as people might remember if they've been on our page since last season. Once the season ended, we had player interviews every night where it's like, confessionals for that particular round. We did them at the end of every night, and we really kind of just tried to hit the ground running with it. And it became a thing where the production members interviewing eliminated players and non-eliminated players, especially the first couple nights, just took a really long time, and it was hard to get it all in. We did upload everything we had to the page, but I know there were some that fell through the cracks, which we were a little upset about. So this season, I think knowing, what it takes to properly do, a confessional interview with the players, we have a better attack plan for that. So everybody can get, confessionals in for every round that they're in, including the last 3. And we have something to upload for every round that kind of feels like a more full episode, quote unquote, with everybody.
Yeah.
We have our lovely mole from last season, Missy, joining us, and she is going to be our chief hospitality person. She's going to be helping us do interviews with people as they're eliminated instead of us waiting until the end of the night. And then we have, like I've said before, Tyler on board. So we have an extra person that can help us with interviews at the end of the day, instead of everybody having to sit down with 4 people and then talk with them for like 30 minutes each time. And then, 2 hours suddenly pass. And if it's a night that we've ended at like 10 p.m. and then it's suddenly midnight, it's like, well, there goes the whole night for production. I need to be up in like 7 hours so I can be ready for the morning assignment. So yeah,
I'd say that's the main one. And even that, I'd say is more of a minor tweak than anything else. Because like compared to like some games, and this is not like a read or anything, like I think our timeline was actually pretty decent, like for how we did with things, but it could use just like some minor tweaks just to keep us even better with how we handled confessionals. I'd say that probably is the biggest one though, honestly.
Yeah. I think from my experience playing live games, time management is a continual challenge a lot of games face.
And I can say I had no idea how much planning and prepping actually went into this. I knew it was a lot of work. I had no idea how hard everybody worked last season, because after our first couple meetings, I was like, holy crap, what the world did I get myself into? Like, so it's done very, very well from the production side. And so I have to give kudos to everybody who does any sort of production on any game. It's a lot.
So
I can tell you that like I constantly think about this game, and if something goes wrong with it, it is not because of like lack of thought about it or lack of care that goes into it.
I'd like to ask a little bit about what makes a successful player. And I'm excited because we have 2 different winners from 2 different mole games. And so I'd like to start with Tyler C first. What do you see as the best thing a player can do coming to the game, or what makes a player go far?
My advice that I've always given people after season 1, being, of course, the leading expert on the mole, didn't lose all stars. Don't ask Jamie about it. But what I always tell people first is, especially early on, is to make sure you are spreading your answers on the quiz. Because I think the biggest pitfall people can fall for on the first quiz is just going all in on 1 or 2 people. And it's such a good chance that you are wrong right away, because everybody's there. There hasn't been that many assignments. So it's just very easy if you were to do that to be like, well, you got the worst score, you're out. And if you're spreading early on, there's a good chance that you'll probably be fine, because, if you're not confident that you don't know who the mole is, no one's confident either after round 1. Like it's just kind of people trying their best to make sure that they hit those right answers. And everyone's kind of in that mindset. The more I've seen like other games, and especially like looking at the results of the live game, even like no one knows who the mole is after round 1. Usually if you're getting the right ones, it's because you're lucky or you're spreading well. So if you spread out your answers as best as you can, most likely you're going to get through those first rounds at least, and then you can kind of cement your main suspects and go from there. That's how I've always played the game. And I mean, it got me the win on the first season, and it got me to 6th place on All-Stars, which I thought was a very difficult season considering we had some very good, I think we had some very good contestants that game. And I was the last winner standing, which I'm very proud of in that game. So I think that at least for new players, if you want some advice to maybe get through day 1 or make sure you're seeing more than 1 round, make sure in that first quiz you're you're looking at those answers being like, okay, are my answers hitting the most possible people? Because most likely that means you're going to get through that round at the very least.
Tyler Brown, as the reigning champ for the live game, what, like, you don't need to give away all your secrets, but what do you think you did that helped you through the game last year?
I went all in on one person on the first quiz.
Get out.
So, I'm not going to like try to hide. Like, I'm a newbie to this. I've only ever seen, before playing the live game, I had only ever seen the first 2 seasons of US Mole from like 2001, 2002. And I watched those probably 2 or 3 times each leading up to the game. So that was all my exposure to the mole. And I never really took into account the quiz taking. I was just so hyper focused on watching the tasks. And so I get to the first quiz and I'm like, oh, well, I think it's this person. So I'm just going to answer all my questions like it is. And it was Shandy, which, according to her, was not a bad guess. I believe I ended somewhere in the middle of the pack for that first quiz, like 6th or 7th out of 11. And I remember the people that I had aligned myself with. It was Kirk and Jessica and Sam. Right after the first quiz happened, I told them what I did. And I remember Jessica grabbed my arm and squeezed it. She said, "You did what?" And so at that point, I kind of learned that I needed to split answers and spread things across evenly. So then I kind of changed my tactic. Memory is a factor. I pretty much had things memorized for the 3 or 4 people that I thought could be the mole. I was wrong every single round except for the final quiz. It wasn't until the final quiz that I finally realized that Missy was the mole. So I got lucky. And again, memory is a part of the game. Luck is a huge part of the game. Jamie and Tyler can correct me if I'm wrong, but if my memory serves me correctly, the next to last quiz, Katie and I tied with a score of 0 out of 10 on the quiz, but I took mine 15 seconds faster than she did. So that's what got me into the final task. So I think luck is a huge factor. And don't count anybody out. If I could tell the upcoming cast one thing, it would be absolutely do not count anybody out, because I was fully convinced that Missy was my bestie and we were going to run the thing and she would never screw me over. And I remember at one point, I think it was the final 5, there had been 3 green thumbprints and it was down to me and Michelle, I believe. And I had told Missy multiple times, I was like, Michelle's the mole. It has to be Michelle. Look at all this stuff that she's done. And I remember hugging Missy and telling her, good luck, win the game for me. And she totally hoodwinked me. So don't count anybody out. Anybody can be the mole. And Missy did a phenomenal job. I'm still awestruck over how well she did, because she blew all of our minds.
I made such a good pick.
Jamie, how many times was Missy selected as the mole over all of the quizzes? I think that's a really cool statistic.
I believe the statistic is 5 out of 79. Yeah.
I was one of those.
Yeah, wasn't Brian the
and
other?
Brian was the other 4.
The other finalist.
So no one else ever selected her in the entire season. Would you like me to give my one piece of advice?
Sure.
Mine would be avoid confirmation bias. It's as simple as that. So, and by that I mean, as humans, we want to be right. Look for the information that tells you why you are wrong instead of the information that shows you why you have to be right.
As someone who has been the mole, nothing is more mind-boggling than people listing reasons why I thought you're a mole. You're just like, how did you come to this conclusion? Mm-hmm. So I can echo that. Confirmation bias is a hell of a drug. Avoid it.
Yep.
Jamie,
I would say that's what got me at All Stars, honestly. It was confirmation bias.
We can always find information to prove whatever we want to believe.
Mhm.
so Jamie, you have one of the hardest jobs, as in you and I believe your co-host are the only two who select the mole. Right, and I mean it's hard because the whole game
You
is
know,
figuring out
who's to say?
who's to say, maybe not.
this season how that worked?
Who's to say? Then like, but what are the qualities or characteristics that you think is important for mole to have?
Generally speaking, I
Generally.
think a mole should be flexible, adaptable, you know, able to get along with people and, you know, able to, you know, mess things up and go undetected in it.
Well-
And, you know, we'll kind of see how the mole does with that.
Well, fingers crossed that they cause havoc and make it to the end relative undetected, because that at least the mole, that'll be the most fun they can possibly have, and
Mhm.
probably for you too, Jamie.
Yeah.
You know, is there anything else you want to talk about or tease for your upcoming game as we wrap up here?
Do you all think I should give a small teaser?
I
Do you think
think
the viewers would like one?
Viewers love teasers because
yes.
they're going to analyze the hell out of it.
I think what I would like to say is this season, the winner of the game is not the only person who will be bringing home some money. And the other one is not the mole.
Well,
And I'll leave it at that.
Jamie, Tyler, and Tyler's dog, who I think is in the couch at this point. I'm not quite sure.
He buried himself underneath of the couch.
Thank you all for taking your time this evening to come to talk about your upcoming season. I'm super excited for all those. It starts Thursday evening, or Thursday evening is when the live streams will begin. You can find the live streams on the Who is the Mole Facebook page. Again, that link is in the notes, the podcast, and the video. I'm looking forward to hear all the great stories that will come out of this season, and we'll have to check in afterwards to see how it went.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us here. It's nice to just connect and chat about this and the game, and hopefully people tune into this and drums up some interest in the season.
Yeah, we need more mole games. That is the only answer. We need more mole games in the live rally game community. So thank you all for doing your part.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
To all those tuning in, thank you all so much, and have a great rest of your day.